Boomer Sooner.
Ball's out, rolling around on the turf. Sooners recover. Looks right, wants to throw, does. It's intercepted. Intercepted. He's under pressure. He lobs end zone. Touchdown.
This is the Riverwind Casino Coach's Corner on the Sooner Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. Also brought to you by Dos Equis, official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. And by Walden Cleaners. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality. This is the Riverwind Casino Coach's Corner. Here are your hosts, Chris Plank and Gabe Ikard.
And welcome inside the Coach's Corner, presented by Riverwind. That's Gabe. I'm Plank. He is Todd Bates, Oklahoma defensive tackles coach. How we doing, Coach?
Doing great, man. Great to be on.
Good bye week?
Yes,
recharging
sir.
the batteries a bit? I know heartbreak from Columbia, but always good to get a little break, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, man. It's good to get a break and, get the guys refreshed and renewed and, ready to go this week.
Unique this late in the season to have a bye, or is something you're familiar with? New for us in the SEC, but I've never had a bye this late in the season.
Right. That was a nice touch. I mean, couldn't have came at a better time. Had a chance to get guys, at least back as much as we could, the guys that were on the fringe.
Looking at your room in particular, have had, for the most part, good luck when it comes to the health and guys being able to play each and every game. How much improvement have you seen result from that availability for the guys in your room?
Man, I tell you what, everybody's pretty much dinged up at this time of year, and my guys, man, they've just been battling through the little nicks and bruises, man, playing with the, the things that may or may not have occurred, and man, they've shown toughness. So you want to see that. They didn't miss any time, as you said, and that's very rare for a defensive tackle group. Every time, every year that I've had the privilege of coaching, we've had one or two guys at some point in time, because it's such a physical nature of the position. You're dealing with double teams of 700 pounds a lot of times, and, you're going to have a little mishap. And we're so, blessed not to have that this year.
Which has been unique for this team, right, with the injuries on the offensive line at wide receiver. But it's also unique because you've had a true freshman that has stepped up and has basically been the dude at defensive tackle in the SEC all season long. Can you take us through the development of Jaden Jackson? Man,
That's a big tribute to him and the way he comes to work every day as well, man. He comes in ready to go and locked in on the things. He's ready to get the game plan down. He's ready to put in the time that it takes to do so. And he's just been, he's performed beyond his years. And I'm talking about between his ears.
Yeah.
Coming in ready to go. And that's kudos to him and, his high school coach, Ernie, and, a lot of guys that, had a hand in his development, but also our culture getting him ready to go as well.
Looking at his skill set as a player on the field, where have you seen the biggest improvement? Is there any one thing in particular that's really stood out to you from what you saw early in the season to what you're seeing now?
Yes, I mean, when we first got him here back in the bowl prep, he didn't know any of the plays. He was just doing things off his natural instincts and his ability to learn, his growth capacity upstairs. He's really understanding more ball and understanding the why behind things. He always could do the right thing, but now he can tell you why he's doing it. And that's a powerful thing in the growth and maturity of a player when they start to understand the why.
Is there a moment? Is there, as a coach, is there like a magic, that clicked right there, or is it just something that happens over time?
It's something that happens over time. A lot of times it happens sooner with some guys than others, depending on, again, how well they pick up football. Some guys are book smart, some guys are, street smart, some guys are ball smart, and Jaden Jackson's ball smart. He came in you can tell him one time, and he's going to really work to get it down.
Looking at the expectations that come down the line when you play as a true freshman, I think guys naturally look at you as one of the leaders of the team. Like, hey, he played as a true freshman. He's going to be a factor his entire career here at Oklahoma. How do you develop that leadership piece for Jaden Jackson? Is that something that is he a guy that's vocal naturally? Is it something that you're going to have to help him work on? Like, where's he at when it comes to developing that leadership piece of his game that just comes naturally with being a guy that's playing as a true freshman?
First part of that, man, is, doing what you're supposed to do and being where you're supposed to be and doing things with excellence. And he's got that part down already. He came in, that way as far as being a leader by example, but he's had guys in front of him. He's had, older guys that he's been able to listen to. Okay, that's how I articulate that. He's been able to see Danny and Billy take control of the team. He's been able to see in our own room, Ethan and DJ and other older guys, see how they handle different moments. And but you always show up the right way. The first step of leadership is carry your own weight. Make sure that you're not a hindrance before you open your mouth, and make sure you know what you're talking about. And he's done that. He's been a leader by example. Man, I couldn't be more pleased with him.
But I want to ask about the other young guy too, David Stone. A year ago, securing the commitment, a 5-star guy, and I feel like he's battled through a little bit of adversity, had a hand injury, wearing a club, but it seems as if that confidence level is growing more and more for him too. Are you seeing what I feel like I'm seeing?
I definitely am seeing that. I mean, he's a guy that was more of a raw talent and, a pass rush, come in with a lot of pass rush ability, and had to learn the run game and the fundamentals and technique, and he's really attacked that. He's up there every night, still to this day. He's been the same guy, hungry to learn, hungry to improve, very self-aware, and he's got a very bright future because of that. A lot of people, expect him to out-talent everybody, and he's going to outwork people, and that's a beautiful thing whenever you got both. You got talent, and he's got a very bright future, man.
That's the combination you're looking for. You mentioned David learning to play the run. As a group, you guys have been excellent.
Yes, sir.
Playing against the opponent's run game. Just how encouraging is it for you to see them apply the things you guys are working on every day in practice and go out there and execute the way that they have against opponents' run games?
Man, I tell you what, you get to see it. You see the development in that piece of it when they start coaching each other up. When you hear them behind you, they're saying what you just said, but they didn't even hear you say it. They're standing back 5 yards, but you can catch a little, they're getting the mental rep, and they're coaching each other up and holding each other accountable. Did you see that part? You see what Coach is talking about right there? And that's a wonderful thing, man. The culture on the field, man, and just being locked in. Your mental reps are just as important as your physical reps. And those guys have really taken that seriously, trying to max out their time on the field.
It's got to be incredibly rewarding as a coach. If there's one thing we learned from Brent Venables, again, talk to you, Coach Bates, is the best teams are player-led. And to have that in your room and seeing that with your defense, it's got to be through the adversity and through the challenges of the season, it's got to be incredibly rewarding.
That's right, man. That word earn, it stands for expect adversity right now. And we've had a lot of it. And those guys have not flinched. They haven't changed up their routine. They haven't, took a shortcut or looked for an easy way. They've continued to just battle and look for the moments that we've fallen short. Because, no excuses. It's the execution in the critical moments. And they always want to look at the low light. They always want to see what they could have done better, because it's going to be a team that comes in the next week in professional courtesy and checks your oil and see if you fixed it. And they understand that. And we've done this all season as far as getting better and improving on our side of the ball, man. And it's been great to see the way they come into work every day.
Clearly, the offense has not had the type of season that they want to have. And they still have a couple games left to get things on track. But how have you handled that in your room? Because I have to imagine it's only natural for guys to go, man, we're playing good on defense, but we just can't get enough from the offense. How have you handled that entire situation? Because I can't imagine it's been easy.
Man, I tell you what, I had on-the-job training back when I was playing my senior year. We were 6-0, and we lose our entire starting backfield and our left tackle, and they all go down, and the offense takes a slump because of the guys that weren't, older. They didn't have that experience, and they had to learn on the job. And we lost the final 6 games, but we showed up every week and played great defense. And what it's important that you understand being in that arena, because whatever you say, whatever you do in those moments, it's going to be contagious. It's going to be infectious. So if you're negative, that's going to spread through your team. If you're positive, that's going to spread through your team. And what we've harped on is being firemen. What does a fireman do? He runs to the fire. He runs to save lives. He knows he's equipped for it. And each time we go out there, our job is to stop him. And that's what we've been focusing on doing. And those guys have been great having that mentality. You know, we can be over there on the sideline just talking about the corrections from the previous drive. And if we got to go get a stop, those guys pick their helmet up and they take off on the field, and you can hear them saying it, fireman.
No,
great.
No hesitation either. And
No.
and as you said, they'll run to it and they're equipped. They know what to do. We got another segment with Todd Bates. He's facing his alma mater this weekend, but he's done it before. We'll talk about it next inside the Coach's Corner, presented by Riverwind.
Coach's Corner is brought to you by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. Orthodontics Exclusively is a proud sponsor of the Junior Captain of the Game. Junior Captain is the ultimate fan experience for children 6 to 12. Bob Moore Ford is proud to honor service members through the Patriot of the Game. Chick-fil-A. Download the Chick-fil-A app and order your favorites ahead of time.
Welcome back inside the Coach's Corner, presented by Riverwind. Todd Bates is our guest. We're going to talk about your guys, but from 2001 to 2004, you were wreaking havoc in the backfield as a defensive lineman in the SEC for Alabama. You've done it before, going up against your alma mater. Does it ever get comfortable? Is it weird? What's that like?
It was weird the first time. You know,
When was the first time?
The first time was 2017. We played them in the Sugar Bowl when we were at Clemson, and man, I had my little league coach. He was there at midfield. I didn't know he was at the game. He's a diehard Alabama fan. And he saw me, he had on all his gear, and he said, man, I'm pulling for you today. He said, but you know how I feel about that other team. And so he hugged my neck, and we got that out the way, and I looked over there across the sidelines, and then after you look over there one time, it's on you in competitive mode. So,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have to imagine it's fun in a way, but let's get into it. What have you seen from this Alabama offense? It feels like they have found their identity a bit over this last month or so and playing their best football this season.
Yes, man, and it all starts with 4 and 2, and man, they got several athletes over there. Their running backs are great. They're really good up front, and they're gonna, you know, they pose a big threat, man, and they're a big problem. They're very explosive in their most previous games, and they've had a lot of success. But again, it all starts with 4, and you know, you got to try to. You're not gonna stop him. You got to try to contain him. He's just very explosive in the run game, and he finds guys down the field with his arm. So you got to find a way to slow him down a little bit.
Well, and again, we're not trying to give away any secrets here. I think when you watch this, you got to be able to tackle, right? But what's
That's right.
one of those keys in trying to slow down a mobile quarterback, Coach Bates?
Well, playing together. I mean, you got to, that's in the run game. You're building the wall up front together, and everybody pursuing the football, everybody making the layups, and, you know, tackling guys, getting them on the ground, not allowing not allowing yards after contact.
Looking at their offensive line, left guard is a guy that a lot of people think could be a first, maybe second round type draft pick. The center, extremely good player coming from Washington. What have you seen from that group up front from Alabama? What type of challenge is this for your guys?
Just a lot of unity and improvement from last season, man. They're working a lot better together, as you would expect. You know, guys, once they get to working together for a longer period of time. And I know the Washington center's new, but he's very smart, been in that system, so it's like he had a jump on the other guys. So you see him a lot of times directing the traffic up front and kind of making things go, and he's very athletic. And like you said, the left guard, I mean, he'll be as good as anybody we've played, and so will the left tackle, man. And all of their guys up front, they do a great job of protecting, keeping Milroe upright.
And to counter that, we've got some dudes we still got to talk about on the Oklahoma side of the football. And one of those players that could wreak some havoc is, of course, Dominic Williams. It just has been so natural, it seems, with his matriculation into your room and what you expect of him. How has he fit and really excelled so far this year? Man,
he's just come in and, you know, first of all, wanted to establish himself as a worker, a guy who put in the work and was more concerned with winning and earning the respect of his guys before he won a football game or before he made a big play. And that's what I'll say. The work he put in with Smitty and the bond that they built over the summer, That's what you've seen. He's been a great breath of fresh air for our room and provided a physical presence in the middle for our defense.
He's been so good against the run, just eating up blocks, getting off blocks, making plays. But where do you think the next step is for him? Because when I watch him, I feel like there's more there.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think is the next step for Dominic Williams to take his game to another level?
That's the whole thing, man. He's got so much more growth left in his game, man, and he's just attacking every day. He's getting better every day. He wasn't asked to do much at his last school, and he's been exposed to a lot more schemes, and we're very versatile and multiple, and he's learning the rules of stunts and how they help you, because every play in the SEC is going to be a physical play. So if your coach can dial up a scheme to get you free, that ain't bad. That's a good thing.
Right.
He's learning that, and he's liking it. Like, man, it's like a kid tasting a different flavor of ice cream for the first time, and that's what it's been for him, man. But he's just attacking every day, and you're absolutely right. There's so much more growth in him, and I'm excited about his future here.
He's fun. He's fun. We got to talk to him a couple times in postgame. Good kid. Speaking of fun, the development of Grayson Halton has been really one of the coolest stories, I think, for this team this entire season. G-Baby, personality, personified. I mean, good to see him break out. What's been the key to him taking that next step?
Man, just constant work, self-awareness, guy who is ultra-talented, but also needed to be more detailed early on, was a little immature, matured, took ownership of where he was, and really started to focus in on developing his fundamentals and technique. He always could rush the passer, and so he's a great example for David Stone, just right there in the room every day, learning how to use his hands, learning the correct block recognition and where my hands go, where my eyes should be at. And that's what he really attacked, man, and he's always been explosive and always had the juice that the team needs, man. But what I'm excited about is the leadership he's bringing to the table, because he's infectious, man, and it's contagious. He gets everything going. He's like the spark plug of our group.
DJ Terry is the old man in the room, and with how many of these young guys you're playing, he's probably not getting the volume of snaps that he wants. But the thing that stands out to me is when he's out there, he's a difference maker.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is not getting moved off the football. He's doing exactly what you guys are asking him to do. What have you seen from DJ this season?
Man, you said it, the immovability. Like, certain guys are on the field because they can move a certain way. Like Grayson Halton, he's explosive and can rush the passer. Whenever DJ Terry's out there, man, he's out there not to get moved, man. He's out there to stuff to run, and he's improved in other parts of his game as well, but that's what he does. He's been a star in his role for us this year, man. And I couldn't be more proud of the leadership he's brought to our group every day.
Looking at, and I know you guys have Alabama and then LSU next week and then hopefully a bowl game, but Stone, Jackson, Halton, Williams, those are all guys that can be back next season. Several of them will be back next season. What are those conversations like? Is that something you talk about with your guys, or is it you're playing great defense here, why would you go somewhere else? You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I tell you, man, you really be in the moment where you're at, and you dream sometime out loud, and those are great dreams, and dreams come to reality, man, when you got a great thing going, and those guys know what they have here. They built a bond that's second to none. And they love each other, and they love our scheme, and they're starting to get a better understanding of what we're trying to do. And so the future's bright, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
We'll be under the bright lights Saturday night against Todd Bates' alma mater, Oklahoma and Alabama. Thanks, Coach. We always appreciate your time. You're the best.
Appreciate y'all.
There he is. We'll take a break. We'll come back, talk more about Oklahoma, Alabama with Rufus Alexander inside the Coach's Corner.
Hey guys, this is Jake. I'm back here at Norman North High School. We're going to surprise Miss Manadio. She always was a great teacher, great role model, and always made me feel welcomed in her class. She's done that for so many students over the years, and we're here to give back to her. Going to surprise her with 2 tickets to the Alabama game. Let's do it. What is up, my man?
How are you,
Dude,
man?
my mom's gonna be fired up that I saw you. Looks pretty similar to when I was here. Miss Martinson, I remember Miss Martinson. She's awesome. Decca, is Decca still right here? Yeah, those cookies, elite. Miss Minadio, how are you? It's good to see you.
Good. It's good to see you too.
Yeah, they said I had to pick a teacher that made an impact on me, and you know, I talked to some of the boys from back in the day, and you were just one that kept coming up, and I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate everything you did for us. And this is me speaking on the behalf of a lot of people that were in my class and that I went to high school with, and just know that your work that you're doing is not going unnoticed. I might not remember a lot from class, but I remember how you made me feel, and how just you were always just good vibes and a light to everyone. And I think we got 2 tickets to the Alabama game for you and a guest, so please be my guest for the OU game. But yeah, like, it is not a problem. I mean, this is the least I could do, and I just show our appreciation for everything you do.
What means the most is that you remember how you feel.
Oh yeah.
You know, even if you don't remember every moment, I mean, you remember how I made you feel, which that's the only thing I ever care about.
Yeah.
That's why I do what I do.
And we get to hang out with one of our old buddies from the Sooner Radio Network, Rufus Alexander, who has left the media biz to coach.
You have to miss us.
I really do.
Let's follow the path. Rufus went from Oklahoma Sooner standout, played in the NFL, and then you got into the media side of things, but you decided coaching was in your blood. Coached some high school football, and then when Britton Venables took over, you joined the staff as an analyst. Did I get everything right?
Got everything pretty much right.
There you go. Okay, good.
I miss raising kids in the middle of all that. And trying to
Cool family.
Being an awesome dad.
Being a great dad and all that stuff, man.
Volleyball, basketball.
There's the demands, the dad demands.
They're high.
There's no doubt. Now, before we dive into this team and this season, what has it been like working with Brent Venables and with Zach Alley and the rest of this defensive staff? What has that entire experience been like for you this season?
You know, this season is, I mean, you had your things you could celebrate, and then you have your things that's frustrating, you know, just the way the season has gone. But you've also seen a lot of growth on the defensive side, being better, tackles for loss, and, you know, stopping the run, being a really good run-stopping team. You're getting better on the back end. You're really young on the back end as well. So it's just the new guys, the growth and that you see within the guys. And, you know, a lot of fans don't see a lot of it, but then you also saw from the first year Coach V was here to the second year, you're becoming more of a defensive-led team, and you get the offense kind of going in the right direction. You got a formula in the SEC that works. You just got to get your offense going in the right direction. And, you know, this year didn't pan out the way you wanted it to, but you got some highly touted recruiting guys that you're doing right now. Coach Beanbo, you know, you have a lot of confidence in that guy and what he does and what he's always brought to the table. DeMarco Murray getting a lot of really great running backs in here. What Emmett Jones is doing as well at the wide receiver position, trying to get longer, bigger, faster. You know, you have some injuries that kind of hampered what you had. You had one of the most explosive wide receiving cores coming into it, and then you start the season, none of those guys are available, so you kind of like, you only have one. You have 2 of the 4 or 5 that you once had that you was really looking to give you a lot of stuff. And offensive line-wise, it just didn't gel together. You had injuries in the beginning from the start of the season at the center position. You shuffling guys. Guys can't get comfortable. So you got a lot of things that are like recipes for when you want to have a successful team, to like reasons why things went the way they went as well.
You mentioned that, you know, the defense has played well. I think everyone recognizes that. You've been on this side as a player. Now you're part of this staff. Like, how have you seen this defense handle the success they've had while the offense has struggled the way that they have? How have they handled the entirety of that situation?
You know, once, like I said, being a part of something where you had to rebuild and grow who you were, the attitude they have coming into practice every day and every week, resetting like they have not lost a game and coming in and believing in the system, believing in the process is something that's remarkable to see. Kip has great energy every day in practice.
I love that kid.
I do too.
Danny Stutzman's been a great leader in getting guys going. Billy's been great for the back end and teaching the young guys, and he's going to leave a strong legacy with guys that's going to be behind him, which he, for him is frustrating because he wants to win. But leading the young guys and being able to leave a legacy of, hey, this is some of the guys I've taught and helped and grown as the season has gone on. That was one of my things why I came back for my senior year, because the legacy I wanted to leave was an imprint on the guys that came after me that, are keepers of the jerseys, the guys that played in the 80s, the championships that's been won here, the Jason Whites I played with, the Brandon Everidges, the Teddy Lamans, and putting respect on, what guys did before me and not leaving it in a bad place or in shambles.
You, when you came in, we were shooting the breeze and you brought up the 05 team, Dusty's senior year. And that was the year after Jason White had graduated. Teddy's final year
Teddy's
as well.
Gone. Dusty, Dan Cody's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You have all those superstar guys, that's gone.
And you guys went through some adversity. I think started 2-3, and then didn't lose a game the rest of the way outside of that terrible
Texas
call.
Tech. I made the tackle though. I did.
And he was short of the line of game. Was that Terrion Henderson? I think.
Terrion Henderson, yes sir.
But the bottom line, more than anything else, you can come at this from an area of, hey man, we battled through adversity, right? That team probably had no business getting to that level, and you still did. So can you take those lessons learned to help this group out?
Yeah, you can. I mean, in a lot of ways. One, it's just I think the difference is offensive coordinator wise. We didn't go through a whole offensive coordinator shift. We had the guys we had, and we just kind of went with it and plugged along, and they made a decision to go with the young guy in Red Bomar. And by the end of the season, you saw he learned and grew as a player. I still remember one game I think we were playing against UCLA, and he's doing like a rollout sprint out, and my man stopped on the sprint out. And you don't stop on the sprint out. Why? Because they're not blocking the backside guy. They're coming. They're coming. Whenever you're sprinting out, you continue to sprint out. My man stopped, and he plants to throw a ball, and I mean one of the hardest hits I've seen somebody take, and he took it on the chops, and you're like, come to the sideline, like you learn a lesson in that, and then you play against Oregon in the Holiday Bowl, and you get like some of the same calls, and that man goes straight to the sideline and he makes a throw, and you learn that lesson as you play, and that's what you have with a lot of young guys on the offensive line. You got a young guy at quarterback, freshman playing at wide receiver, freshman playing at running back. So you have a whole host of freshmen learning how to get open and learning how to play and playing, especially in one of the top leagues. That right there is something that, they have to learn, and next year they'll be better from. But this year you get all the growing pains, and, fans want to win, and you got to walk around campus amongst your peers and see that, they're disappointed in the season, and it's a tough thing to do. And like I said, that team there, we had a defense that was really good, that held together, that also backed up the quarterback, and said, hey man, we gonna get out there and we gonna fight for you, and you just keep on plugging along, just don't put us in bad situations. And that's kind of how we just kept on, and we grew and had an identity towards the end. And that's kind of what you want to have in these last two games. It's kind of form an identity, form a toughness, see who can help you next year on the offensive line, see who's going to be a guy at the wide receiver position, see who's going to be that running back you don't have to, just that growth that goes with having a whole entire season. And then you start seeing the young guys that you can depend on the next year.
I want to talk about your role.
Mm-hmm.
The rules changed, analysts can coach now. I think people hear, hey, he's an analyst, and they go, okay, what does that mean? What does he do from a day-to-day perspective? Like, what are the main things that you're handling for this staff, for this team?
And before a lot of things, it's kind of more advanced scouting. You go in and look at guys, see things that they do, how they tip their handoff, and formationally and run scheme wise, and when they get to certain sets, so you can like eliminate some of the gray area for the guys and get it so black and white. And like say, hey, they're 90% run when they get in this formation, or they this when they get to that. And so and you kind of see where the run game goes to, and you can kind of cater your defense so it's easy for the coaching staff to come in and have pretty much a blueprint of what's there to come, and then you can go ahead and adjust off of it, and you don't have to worry about doing all the monotony of going through the whole entire week of preparing and having to look at everything, but you get a shortcut to go into everything. And so you have a lot of bright guys that do a lot of those things. Trent Simpson is a very smart, articulate guy, and he does a lot of offensive line stuff, and he is brilliant in what he does. Gives the coaches a lot of really good shortcuts in how you can scheme up the offensive line. On the back end, you got Crid that does a lot of good things. He's a player here. He does and makes some shortcuts for Coach Valai. And Coach Hall is just one of those guys that kind of works on his own. He's a mini genius in what he does, as far as what he does, like how he approaches the game, how he sees it, how he has guys looking at things on the back end. And Coach Hall was one of those guys that I learned from and learned the defense from, learned concepts and schematics and things like that, because Coach V was so busy with the older guys, with Teddy and all those guys. So when I was a young pup, he was the guy that had to give me a lot of the information shortcuts to be able to play for a Coach V-led defense.
That's Rufus Alexander. You can tell Radio Pro. When we come back, we'll ask the Sooner defensive analyst his thoughts on Alabama. Talk a little Danny Stutzman inside the Coach's Corner, presented by Riverwind.
We want to thank all of our Sooner Radio Network affiliates across the state and region. Fans can check out Soonersports.com for an affiliate in your area. And if you're traveling outside the state of Oklahoma, you can listen to all the action on either SiriusXM Radio or download the Varsity Network app and listen free. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality.
Now Burden in motion. Handoff Roberts, met at the line. Omosigo, ball's loose, picked up. It's Billy. Billy down the sidelines. Billy Bowman into the end zone. House it. Billy Bowman, scoop and score. Oh, mama. The ball squirted out of the pile, out of the hands of Jamal Roberts. And Billy Bowman, like he's done his entire career, was there to make the big play.
Wait. What a great play by Billy Bowman. We're laughing because all we hear is Dennis Stats Kelly yelling in the background of Toby's call. But you were talking about Billy and the play, well, that play, but just in general, his play. He's a competitive guy. This is his last game Saturday night in a Sooner uniform at home, but he's really been an impact guy from day one.
He's definitely been an impact guy. I mean, just his knowledge and his smarts that he plays with. He's like the brains back there. You can see he takes Coach Hall's approach in doing things, just kind of his cerebral thinking about how to approach the game and what to look at before, pre and post, pre-snap and all that stuff. So you love Billy. He's going to be missed when he's gone, but I mean, what a leader, what a competitor. You love that guy.
You've been handling the advanced scouting for this one.
Yep.
What do you see from this Alabama offense? I know you're focused on the offense in particular, but no surprise, just an incredibly talented football team coming to town.
Very talented. A really left side of their offensive line is probably the strength of their offensive line. They're big, they're physical. They do a lot of really good things with their tight ends, creating extra gaps and extra holes, and those tight ends are really good blockers. I mean, you got one guy that's 270 over there, like another offensive lineman, number 45, and he does a great job. Running back does a great job. Not only just finding the hole, but whenever there's nothing there, just kind of hiding behind that offensive line and wanting to get 3-4 yards and be good. They're being okay with that. They're great with being 3-4 yards, and then boom, they try to pop one. And formationally, and the hard thing about Alabama is they do so many different variations of runs. It's hard to get a beat on what they're gonna do when they do it. But their sets also, they go to empty, and you think, oh, they're gonna pass the ball in empty. Nope, they're going to go ahead and run the ball with a down around with the quarterback who's like a running back too. Whenever he's a big guy, a big dude that can run really fast, and he's powerful. He drops his pads, so he doesn't play high and give you a lot of surface.
What are a couple of keys to slowing this offense down? I don't know, with just how talented they are, it's hard to say, hey, we're going to shut them out, we're going to shut them down. I don't know if it's unrealistic, but it's really, really difficult, right? But what are the keys to slowing them down enough to where this thing is up in the balance in the fourth quarter?
One is when they get in the red zone, make them kick field goals. That's one of them. The other one is make Milroe throw in tight windows. Make him be very accurate with the ball. Always be close to the wide receivers, and you'll eliminate the explosive plays by being tight to wide receivers. You just go back and watch a lot of his tape and what he does. Make him be accurate. That's the hardest thing for a lot of college quarterbacks to do, is put balls in tight windows and anticipate where a guy's going to be at, throwing guys open and stuff. And that's something that we struggle with. So for a guy like Miro, you want to do that. And then you got to be able to steal a hat in the run game. Being able to read your keys properly, not jump up on the run play action whenever it's passed, but being able to be so dialed in that whenever you know that it's running, you get the right key, coming in there and be that extra hat to put another hat on the ball so the line's not pushing your guys and they're leaning on you the whole entire game, and it wears you down. So stealing an extra hat, slowing down the run game, and like don't let them score. Like you gotta stop them 3 points in the red zone. Don't give up the explosive. And the biggest thing is get a turnover here and there. You have to get, I think in this game, you'll have to get 2 or 3 turnovers to kind of help yourself out, give yourself a short field for your offense to operate from a shorter distance to get to the end zone.
Protect the football too, right?
And you got to protect the football on offense.
He's worried about the defense.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you haven't asked me an offensive question yet, but whenever you do, that was my first thing I'm going to say, just protect the
Solve
football.
all our problems.
Hey, we only got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
Rocky Kalmus, Teddy Lehman, Torrance Marshall, Rufus Alexander, Curtis Lofton, and Danny Stutzman. I know there's a lot of names I'm missing, but in the modern era, you see this guy work every day. You will celebrate him on Saturday night. Not the finish he wanted, but what has separated Danny Stutzman in your mind?
I think his work ethic and his mind. You know, he comes and he at the end of practice, he's in the film room with the coaches. Right after practice, looking at the adjustments, getting the things that he's not seeing whenever we're out there in practice, and getting that thing corrected before he gets to practice the next day. And that's what you love about Danny Stutzman and the way he plays the game is he looks at it from a mental standpoint, and he also is the brains of the operation when he's out there getting all the difficult varieties of checks that we have, and you have to see everything being the quarterback of the defense and getting that off that defensive line adjusted and checks and all that stuff, and he's done a phenomenal job of it all year long. One of our leaders on the team, and I mean, he just does a great job in a lot of ways. So for him, it's the way he goes about doing his job, coming in and staying late and being the last one there. You love that, and you're going to miss that. But, I mean, you got some really good, young, talented guys behind him, but he does a great job leading some of those guys as well.
This game is not what we all wanted it to be.
Nope.
But, man, I'm still expecting the Palace to be rocking on Saturday night. Like, what can this fan base do to help this defense against this offense? And that's my expectation. I think this thing's going to be packed and wild. Am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy. I think it should be, because one, you're showing culture of what you have as a team, as a fan base, and your support behind your team. 2, you're showing for the next group of guys that's going to come in and the recruits that you want to have here, this team that you want this to be and become. You're there packing the Palace to show, hey, our culture is still here, and we still believe in our team. And even though we're not having a great season, we're still behind our guys. Yes, the expectation is high. Yes, we feel bad that we're losing. Yes, the expectation will not drop. And the expectation does not drop for the fan base, and we are going to hold our team to a high standard, even no matter where we're at, talent-wise or whatever. But you got to do that for the next guy that comes in, and you got to show the next recruit that's coming in that same passion that you have for this team. That's not great right now, and you want that to be the standard going forward. You never drop your standard for no matter what the season is. Regardless, and you still be that fan base that I know that the Sooners are, that they was for us whenever we had our struggles.
That's right. Man, I miss hearing you talk, Rufus. It's great to have you on. But
Come back to radio.
Yeah,
man. I love it. Come
on.
6:30 kick. We're back to wrap up Coach's Corner next, presented by Riverwind. Stick around.
OU's 2024 football games are available on Éxitos 96.5 FM in Oklahoma City and 101.5 FM El Patron in Tulsa, as well as on those stations' websites. Each OU Spanish broadcast will feature a 30-minute pregame show and a 15-minute postgame show. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. New episodes drop every day. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. Presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino. Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola.
Fun show today leading into the final home game. That seems wild to say, man. We got 2 games left.
It always flies by. It goes by so fast.
Slow down, college football season. Slow down just a bit. All right, so for our final segment, brought to you by Riverwind Casino, always a good time, we like to take a look at the upcoming opponent. And our breakdown on a very good Alabama team is brought to you by Bob Moore Ford, proudly bringing you the Patriot of the game. You heard Coach Bates.
Where do you want to start?
4-2, left side of the offensive line. It's a really good offensive football team.
And I think they found what they're comfortable doing offensively. They are a run-first football team at this point in time. And clearly with what Jalen Milroe can do with his legs, with what they have at the running back position, with the types of guys they have on the offensive line, running the football is what they want to do. Now, they've got explosive playmakers. Everyone knows about Ryan Williams. Do you know he's 17?
Do you know he's 17 years old?
I don't know if anyone's talked about it, but he's excellent. And they do take some shots down the field. That's a big piece of this offense. But these last couple weeks, I think they have really come to the realization that they're a run-first football team, and they look really good doing it. They're Alabama. Mm-hmm. They're extremely talented on both sides of the football, but Jalen Milroe is the key. If Oklahoma's defense can slow him down, and this may sound strange, but force him to play quarterback,
right,
then that's going to give you the best chance to pull off this upset. If Alabama can stay on schedule with their running game, and that forces you to do some different things defensively, and then they can take their shots down the field in the passing game, it's going to be tough. And that's before we even talk about
I mentioned the
OU's
defense,
offense. And we all know the struggles the Sooners offense has had.
Well, let's make that our Eichert's Intel, brought to you by Orthodontics exclusively. Orthodontics exclusively, orthoext.com. I mean, got to protect the football. Brent Venables has made 2 things very clear. Need more explosive plays, and you got to protect the football. And it's something that Oklahoma struggled at this year, protecting the football.
If you lose the turnover margin in this game, you're going to lose the game. Bama's they're too talented. And you look at their defense, while I don't think they have the defensive linemen either in the interior or at the edge that we're used to seeing from Alabama, like a top 10 pick type of guy. They don't have that guy this season, but they do have a lot of talent, a lot of size, a lot of length. They're very good up front. They've got a couple studs playing at inside linebacker. I think Jahad Campbell, number 11, is one of the best players we've seen all season long. They're a little young in the back end. They've given up some big plays, but I think they've done a better job of adjusting some of the things coverage-wise, and they're playing some better ball back there. But I think the key is you got to control time of possession. Vandy beat Bama because Vandy had the ball for 40 minutes in that game. Mm-hmm. You cannot have 3 and outs, 5 and outs. You have to be able to sustain drives. And we'll see how it goes. Jackson Arnold's got to play well, of course.
And you got to be loud. Yeah, you got to be loud. It's the final home game of the season. Gabe and I will be on the air on the Sooner Radio Network with a 3:30 pregame to get you ready for the 6:30 kick. Final home game of the season. Final home stretch as Oklahoma looks to get bowl eligible. Pick up win number 6. For Gabe Eichert, I'm Chris Plank. For producer Jay, for all of Sooner Nation, thanks for hanging in on Coach's Corner. Appreciate Todd Bates and Rufus Alexander. We'll see you next week to get you ready for LSU. Until then, Boomer Sooner, everybody.
This has been the Riverwind Casino Coach's Corner, presented by Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Sooner Sports Network.